Hey guys, I'm at Berkeley University today in California, and I just interviewed Heather Lofthouse, who's the Director of Special Projects at the Blum Center for International Development. Good friend of mine, really awesome conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Some real good hints and tips for how we can do Solvay better next year and really support people properly. So check it out, hope you enjoy it. Those notes again. Yeah, that was a nice one. Hello! Alright, a sip of my coffee and then I'll be good to go. Where did these coasters come from?
Pictures of Blum Center experiences.
Where people have gone...
Yeah, so I don't know, they're
with
different
support
ones.
through the Blum Center's Safe Water and Sanitation Initiative.
He, among other things, started this microfinance model to have a network of franchise people selling safe water in rural areas where it was all terrible. And so we set up these little kiosks and people can run them. And so they're owner operated.
Why don't you start by just telling me what you do and where we are in this center?
That sounds good. Thank you for having me. We are an interdisciplinary hub for poverty action and poverty studies at UC Berkeley. And we are training the next generation of solvers. We have something called the Big Ideas competition. It's been 10 years now. It is pretty simple. Cash prize for your early stage idea to change the world. Projects that will affect global health, to IT in the interest of society, to open data. And then we have 9 months, basically a school year, of academic scaffolding around this, where we say, okay, what's your idea? Why is it your idea? What's your theory of change? Let's go to editing blitzes. Let's help you develop a business plan. Let's get you mentors. Let's figure out how you go from idea to reality.
Yeah.
And we get to experiment and do neat things. Our class is better when you have teams predetermined and require as part of the application process for a course. Is it better or just different in how to start a class and then make interdisciplinary neat teams come together once the class has started, and what does that look like? Having a technology that we seeded, even if it started as a big idea, we have a number of cases that did that, and then took on a life of its own and spun out of the university, either as a for-profit or a for-profit social enterprise or a non-profit, and now it is achieving some good in the world on a path to scale. Those are things we're proud of too. So we have a number of those in our portfolio. One would be the Cell Scope, which is diagnostic quality microscopy from your mobile phone.
Got it.
Especially helpful in remote areas, potentially, and we're increasingly seeing that it is. So there's one for TB diagnosis that's being piloted in Vietnam, for example. Students being better equipped to solve the world's problems, and then actual widgets or innovations or, technical things happening out there in the world.
You've been running this Big Ideas thing for how many years?
10
years, right? So this is awesome. So what have you learned and what mistakes have you made? Because obviously we're running a process, a different kind of process. All kinds of people everywhere use the internet. It's kind of crazy. I want to make sure we don't fall into the same pitfalls in the selection process.
Yeah.
So
how to market to students has been really interesting to us, and we think we're getting better at it. If you offer pizza at an event, you're more likely to get kids there. So that's one lesson learned. Students have a willingness to take a risk that I think real world 9-to-5ers or whatever you want to call them are less likely to do. So I think there's an advantage in going after students and figuring out what they want has allowed us to get more people in the competition, more high-quality applications coming through the competition. So students, for example, wanted high-quality mentors. We have had some tremendous feedback from around our female mentors. And the more support services we've added to the competition, actually, more female students have come into it. So that's been interesting for us, too. Figuring out the best support mechanisms to add to the portfolio of offerings around the competition has been really interesting. We actually have a toolkit that we put together. On our
online?
competition. I mean, it's tailored to...
Can I nick it?
Yeah, you can have it.
Like, is it online?
Yeah, it's legit.
What's the URL?
Bigideas.berkeley.edu
I'll find it and put it in the description
Yeah,
below.
thanks.
Let's like zoom out to the actual globe now, like
Okay.
what's actually going on with the US, the UK, and the rest of the world. The reason I
It's
say
great.
it's perfect, it's going well.
No, it's fine.
Why are we even coming to work? Let's just go home. I guess my question is, what kind of work do you think you've seen that is good and which kind of work is bad? Because the last thing I want to do is to run some kind of process, find some people, to say we'll support them, and then end up doing more damage than help in the communities that we're seeking to make change in.
Right.
And is there any advice or anything you've seen or any rules of thumb that you would point at and be like, dude, just make sure you don't do this?
Right. God, this is a huge question.
Totally. That's what people come and study their whole...
Yeah.
And I want it now.
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
know the answers now.
So I don't think you're going to hurt the world
Yeah.
by having competitions and encouraging people to think cool thoughts and make the world a better place. I think where there is room for improvement is the step after that. And that's something we have with big ideas too, is, okay, now you have your big idea, we gave you a little seed money, what the hell do you do next? So to be a supporter of a portfolio of so many different people doing millions of different things in millions of different places across the world is hard. And anyone who runs accelerators or these kinds of competitions will tell you this. 90% of good ideas don't turn into businesses or something.
yeah.
I mean, or higher than that even. And if you look in Silicon Valley and talk to venture capitalists and what they're actually funding, I mean, it's small percentages of who comes knocking at the door.
And even then, early stage investors will invest in 10 on the basis that one will provide a 20x return and pay twofold on the whole portfolio.
Right. But me, Heather, to you, Dave, I would say pick a couple and give them a lot of attention.
Yeah. I think for me, what I'm trying to do is get a macro map and then pull it all the way back to, so what do we do now?
Right.
You know, and obviously, you know, what I want to do now is find the most ambitious, unhinged young people who are just imagining the future. What if we could do this? What if we could do that? And say, you're not crazy to think that. Let's put some fuel behind your ideas and take them on a bit. I noticed on the sign on the way in here, it says like the Blum Center for Developing Economies. The thing I found interesting about this set of UN goals was that it wasn't just about the developing economies anymore. It was goals for every society to adhere to. And Michael Green's work on social progress has been really interesting because it's not just about GDP. It's about how safe, how healthy, how much access to education are the people in your country. So we talked a bit about what you guys are doing, and I can learn a lot from that. And we're thinking about where we are globally and what the big guys are saying, the UN and all that lot. But what would be your one kind of takeaway for me? You know, knowing a bit about what I'm trying to do, reaching out to people using the internet, trying to get behind them. What would be Heather's advice to Dave about what to do to make sure that we do a good job?
I would say increase your reach. So find new partners on the ground who could send out your call. In order to really get a truly representative sample and to get to these special cases that you're looking for, I think the broader you can cast your net, the better off you're going to be. And so you don't just stick with the US and the UK, even though we do have some great ideas. We all know there are many more ideas to be had in other places. So that's what I would say. Increase your scope.
I hear that.
In the call.
Well, we might be reaching out to you in other countries. So we kind of got the US-UK thing. People get to hear about it, but I want to make sure that we get to India, to the Chinese, to the Spanish speakers of the world, and make sure that next year's Solvi project has a way more balanced audience and representation when we filter down to the short list of ideas. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because that is kind of how I felt as well, that I just don't want it to be all Yanks and all the UK posh voices and stuff. I like seeing some of the cool ideas from on the ground. And
use the people that are already out there who have connections to these groups of people who are thinking in these radical new, untethered ways.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
And I will see you very soon.
Sounds good.
Ciao.
Bye.
Awesome.